to go ahead and we're going to get started. So how are things going?
I'm good. I get up in the morning and I practice my standing on one foot. I can do a minute and a half. I think I am getting better. You know, it's hard to believe that you could get better that fast, but I don't do the eyes closed yet. So that's good. And I'm trying to drink. I keep this big thing of water in my refrigerator and I try that all the time. I mean, to try to go through that 3 times a day. And I'm doing my little 5-pound weights. And I think I basically eat healthy anyways. And I've got to go to Whole Foods and get some of those bars that you suggested. And then I'm not sure about the protein powder. I'm not sure if I need it or not. And I mean, maybe I do. And then I don't know to get sport or regular the protein powder. And I guess you put it in a drink and drink it before you do pickleball.
Mm-hmm. So sport, let me, number one, you don't have to do protein powder. Okay. I mean, a protein powder is a great way to get extra protein if you are lacking in protein.
Yeah.
Okay. Great way to supplement your protein. It's not a prerequisite, nor is it a prerequisite for a healthy life. It's just that some people can't get enough from their diet. Okay. So that's the number one determiner. It is a good thing in terms of a quick meal, right? You know what I'm saying? I need something, I'm hungry, I need something healthy, I want a quick snack. Those things can help. It can also help with, you know, continuing to build our muscle mass. So that's a positive on the protein powder. Not really a lot of downsides, but if you get enough from your regular diet, then you don't really need it. Okay. I mean, so that's how I would weigh it. As far as Vega goes, the sport or the regular protein powder, what you'll notice is a little bit different carbohydrates in the powder. And the protein is probably pretty similar per scoop. It's somewhere around 20 to 25 grams, depending upon the product. Which is pretty typical. You get a lot higher than that. Over 30 grams, protein can be difficult to digest in one sitting, right? For some people, not for everybody. But what you'll notice there is a little difference in the carbohydrates. And I am going to talk about recovery today. And we need some carbohydrates for recovery, right? The carbohydrates they get a bad rap. But here's what carbohydrates do. They are our body's main energy source, period. That's what they do for our body. So we have to give our body carbohydrates. The challenge is giving our body complex carbohydrates versus simple carbohydrates. We tend to do a lot of simple carbohydrates, which is the sugars that I was talking about. So, you know, that's what I would say to look at. If you think, hey, I'm going to use this after pickleball, I'd go more with the sport one. That's the direction that I would go. See if you like it. Get a jug of protein powder. See if it adds anything into your diet. See if you like it. See how you would use it. And you know what? If after a period you don't order it again.
How about before pickleball? Like lunch?
Yeah, absolutely.
What would you mix it with?
So generally what I would do, now, here's the thing that I would tell you, is if I tend to not like a sloshy feeling and drinking a shake could give me a sloshy feeling. So if I drink a shake before pickleball, I do it about an hour before pickleball. Now that's my own personal preference. You may or may not find, you might be able to drink a shake down and go right on the court. Okay. You could just take your shake and mix it with water. Most protein powders are built to be made with, or to be made with water. You could add a milk, right? Any type of milk that you like, regular or an almond milk. I like to throw mine in with, my favorite way to do them is I do almond milk, or oat milk. Watch the amount of sugar in those products. There are 0 sugar ones. Those are the best. With some water. And then I throw in some frozen berries. And I make it cold, which is also kind of nice if I'm going play pickleball on a warm day. It kind of brings my body temperature down just a little bit before I go.
Okay, thanks. Yeah.
So that's how I do it.
Thank you.
You're welcome. Cool. All right. How about you, Diane Muir? Tell me, have you got some questions, or how are you doing?
Doing pretty good. Yeah, trying to get out and either walk, or I rode bike this weekend and stuff. So I usually start my day with my protein powder drink, which is the protein is from a pea powder, I guess, and I mix it with Omni milk and about 1/3 cup of blueberries and half a banana. And I have been doing it before I play pickleball because I get too famished, I think, otherwise. But since the quarantine, my breakfast hours gotten later and later because I'm not getting up to go play pickleball so early. So that's been later in the day. But I'm trying to maintain weight or lose a pound here and there, but it's difficult during the quarantine. I mentally need to get out and exercise somehow. So doing okay. And I have my garage set up so I can go down there and practice against the wall and things. So
awesome.
I need that for my mental well-being as well.
How long what's the time span usually between you drinking your shake and going to play pickleball? Do you do it right away, or do you give yourself a little bit of time?
It can be, depending on where I'm playing, I sometimes am drinking the drink on my way. One place takes me about 45 minutes to get there. So, I down it and there's not a big window of time between when I finish it and start playing. So,
yeah. So everybody's different. You know what I'm saying? I mean, everybody's different with how their body acts and reacts to it. That would just be something that you'd have to play around with, just in terms of the time. Here's the other suggestion to you on the activity, because you're right now, one of the things that we've lost, and I touched on this in when we first started, is we have lost our normal everyday activity. Okay. And what I mean by that is just, you go to the grocery store, or you ran errands here, or you did this here, or you did all those things. So even if you're still keeping up all the other stuff, you've lost all those calories that you burn just through living. And that's difficult to replace when you're stuck inside. One of the things that I do is I have an iPhone. I'm sure there's a program for Android as well. The program that I have is called Chime. It was just a free app. And in Chime, you can set reoccurring alarms on your phone. So for this, and it's easy to do. I know there's a program that you can do that, but if you're going to do it, you have to do it now every hour. Chime, you just download it and you do it one time. And what it does, though, is every hour it chimes, and that's my signal to go do 10 minutes worth of something. For me, I have stairs in the house, so my go-to is climb up and down the stairs. I will tell you, I use this not just now. I use this because I work from home a lot. If I don't leave the computer, I lose everything. You know what I'm saying? My brain doesn't function right. Everything kind of goes to hell in a handbasket. So maybe try one of those. Try that app, and if you have an iOS phone, I'm happy to put a link to what it is. But it was Chime. And it was a freebie off the App Store. So cool. So Diane Stewart, how about you? How are you doing? Oh, you know what? I see, I cannot hear you. Hopefully you can hear us. You are not connected to the audio. So, but that's okay. Hopefully she can still hear us through this. We'll see. Okay. All right. So I do have a couple of things for you today. And then I know there were a few additional questions, so let me get to that. But what I wanted to talk about today a little bit was I wanted to talk about recovery. And well, two things. Let me back up a little bit. I want to talk about two things. I want to talk about number one, recovery, which is kind of something new. And then the second thing is doing things. How do you put this together? Because this is our last coaching session. So how do you start to put this together to actually make some changes in your life? How do you continue to create those plans? So those are the two areas that I want to touch on just a little bit. So let's talk first about recovery. And I want to share my screen with you here. So give me just a second. There we go. Come on. Thank you. All right. So there's a couple key things to recovery, and I want to cover these key items within recovery. So we talked about this a little bit. One of the things that you need to do is you need to give nourishment to your body, and you need to hydrate your body. So let's talk about them separately. So the very first thing in terms of recovery, so after we're playing pickleball, and this is specific what I'm talking to, is after we've done something where we have exerted ourselves. So, you know, Joan, I know that you like to hike. So after some of those hikes that you've talked about, right, that would be a time where you want to pay attention to recovery. After a hard day of pickleball, you know, if you just went out and let's just say you played 2 games of pickleball and decided, hey, I don't want to play any more pickleball, that probably isn't a time that we're worried about recovery a lot. I'm thinking that you've pushed your body. Okay. I mean, you have pushed your body, you're tired, and it could be pickleball. It could be working out at the gym. It could be doing any variety of things. But it's not every time we simply move. Okay. It's when we push ourselves. So when you've pushed yourself, the more you can help your body to recover, the easier it's going to be to push yourself again soon. And so there are certain behaviors that we can do to help that to happen. So the first one is by putting some food in our body. And really, you have a magic window where this is concerned, and it is within 30 minutes. Okay? So 30 minutes of when you finish that activity is when you want to replenish the stock. And I already talked about this a little bit in the intro. It is carbs are essential. We have burned carbohydrates. We want to bring some carbohydrates into our system, perhaps along with a little bit of protein. Protein will help to keep us satisfied a little bit longer, and it helps in that muscle repair process as well. So ideally, whatever you're going to eat is like 3 to 1 carbs to protein. And when I say carbs, I am looking for more complex carbohydrates. So not necessarily sugars. You know, this is not the candy bar. This could be the time for a good energy bar. This could be the time for a protein shake. This could be the time for like peanut butter on celery. Perhaps some healthy trail mix, right? Some nuts with maybe some, like a little bit of granola and a little bit of nuts in it. I also the other day posted a no bake energy bar. I forgot that I had that recipe up, and it's really good, and it's not super time consuming, and the ingredients are easy. The ingredients are really easy to get. And it's very, very easy to make. So that's a good alternative as well to things that you see perhaps at the grocery store. What makes this easy is pre-plan your snack, right? Especially, so like Diana Muir, you talked about driving, you have a 45-minute drive to pickleball, so I'm assuming you have the same drive home. You would definitely want to have something in the car with you to eat afterwards, right? You would want to take something along with you. Because otherwise you've kind of missed that window. Now, again, it's not saying that, gee, if I miss the window, I shouldn't eat. It just doesn't help with the recovery process as much. That's all. And as I mentioned, a bar could be a good alternative here, but the magic number is 3 to 1 carbs to protein. That's kind of what we're looking for when we get something to eat. Okay. Second thing we need to do is rehydrate. And this is where you really want water, water, water. Okay. There are certain endurance athletes who will rehydrate using, Gatorade-ish type products. Now, first of all, I will tell you this. I don't like Gatorade. The Gatorade that you see in the grocery stores, and not meaning I don't like the taste. I don't like the composition of Gatorade. Basically, it's just go eat a candy bar instead. Now, with that being said, Gatorade makes a high-level performance series. There's protein bars, there's electrolyte. I mean, it's high-level stuff. It's also high in calories because it's made for endurance athletes. Okay, so if you do hear about good Gatorade stuff, that's kind of, we're generally not burning the kind of calories that endurance athletes are. I mean, some of those products have like 430 calories in some of those recovery products, which typically aren't going to be what we need. So water, water, water. And again, with water, it really doesn't matter if you are drinking still water or if you're drinking a carbonated water that does not have added ingredients in it. So like a SodaStream, they've not shown that carbonation changes the water and what it does for your body. So I don't like still water, but I drink, as you see, it's always around. I'm drinking tons of SodaStream water during the course of the day. So water. So eat and drink. Next thing, stretch. And this is where we would use some of the static stretching. And I put a video into the feed the other day into the community. I actually labeled it under this because I knew I was going to talk about it. It was a static stretching. It was like 5 minutes after pickleball and what you could do for that. So the difference between static and dynamic stretching, we talked in the beginning, dynamic stretching is stretching while you're in motion. And typically we do dynamic stretching prior to activity. Warms up the body, starts to move the joints, and mobilizes the joints. So it's stretching while we're in motion, right? So like doing an arm circle is a dynamic motion, and that's typically beforehand. Afterwards, we usually go to static stretching. That helps to get rid of some of the waste products that have built up inside of the muscles, as well as to strengthen and lengthen the muscles. So static stretching is when we're holding a stretch for a period of time, kind of like this gal right here who's doing a quad stretch. So she's just simply holding that stretch. Different from when we were kids, right? Because all we did when we were kids and we went to gym classes, you always did static stretching. There was rarely any dynamic stretching, and you did a lot of bouncing in the stretching. That's a no, 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 no. With a static stretch, we take it to the point in our body where we feel a stretch, and then we simply hold it for about 30 seconds is what we want to do. And stretching should feel a little uncomfortable. Stretching should never hurt. Okay, never hurt. If you're hurting, you've gone too far. Okay. A second thing here in recovery is not just stretching, but active recovery. Sometimes maybe you have really gone all out on the pickleball court. Maybe you played a tournament and you played all day long. Active recovery would be something like getting on a bike, a stationary bike, and pedaling, or taking your bike around the neighborhood. It would be like going for a walk. So something where your heart rate's elevated, your body's working again, but you're not pushing yourself. What that starts to do is it starts to get the blood flow going, and it begins for your body to flush out all the toxins that have built up during exercise and what we do during exercise. So sometimes you may need active recovery. So walking, biking, gentle though, right? I mean, that's what we're really doing, is we're doing gentle motion at that point in time. And sometimes, here's what I would tell you, active recovery between pickleball sessions, right? So let's say you played pickleball on Monday and you just went crazy, right? You went all out. You had a great day on Monday, and you wake up Tuesday and you're kind of like, oh, I don't know about this. I kind of overdid it yesterday. Really what you should do on that day is active recovery. So go for a walk, go for a ride on the bike, do something to start to flush out those muscles. All right. Beyond that is other things inside of recovery would be using ice to help to eliminate some of those. Let me just right here. Okay. Active recovery would be like using ice, right? You have sore knees. Let's say you have a knee issue or you have an elbow issue. So after playing and after becoming, having a tough day out on the courts, perhaps ice for about 10 minutes and then take it off. Ice can really help reduce some of the things that are going on in our body and help us to, again, flush out some of those toxins and to start to recover. So ice is really good, especially if you have like chronic joint injuries. And with ice, again, generally 10 minutes is kind of a max, and you can have ice bags like this fella has. My favorite ice thing is I have a bag of peas. You know, peas pretty much conform perfectly to everything around your body. And I just keep reusing that bag of peas over and over and over again. Another thing is foam rolling. And a couple of things about foam rolling here. If you do have vascular issues, foam rolling is probably not for you. Make sure you check with your doctor prior to doing that. But rolling can definitely help to release some of the connective tissue, and again, helps to flush out some of the muscles and the things that are going on. You never want to roll on a joint. So as an example, if you are having knee issues, you really would want to roll around the knee, never be right on the joint itself. Okay. All right. Let's go down to the next one. What happened here? There we go. Other things to help you roll, tennis balls, if you have tennis balls. Pickleballs, I will tell you, I've used pickleballs in a pinch. When I'm really hurting, I will grab a pickleball and I will roll on the pickleball. The problem is it flattens the pickleball. It does change the shape of the pickleball. It bounces back after a bit, but it does flatten it. One of my favorite things is this device, Trigger Point Therapy, and the balls are harder than a tennis ball, but not as hard as a lacrosse ball. And so and I thought I had one. I usually have one sitting in my office, but I don't. And so I can use that to like get into my calf. So one of the things that you can do, even if you don't have the Trigger Point Therapy, you see that little gray thing, that's like a yoga block. What you could do is take that yoga block, put your tennis ball on top of it, and then put your calf on top of that and roll around the calf attachments, because calves in pickleball players, racket sports players, tend to get very tight, and they cause us a lot of problems. So that's particularly good. You can also roll that on your foot. That feels great on your foot. Speaking of feet, before I forget, you can ice your feet if you're having foot problems. Take a plastic water bottle, fill it with water, freeze it, and then you can roll on that to give you some relief if you happen to be having issues with your feet after playing pickleball. The blue thing on top of the yoga block, that's called a footballer, and it's small. It's about the size of your foot, and it feels amazing. That's their starter set. That's their foundation collection. They also have one that's about like that big. It is for the thigh area, in like the hamstrings. Oh my goodness, it just gets in there. It's so great. I started using their products well, probably about 10 plus years ago now, when I was doing some distance running, and I couldn't live without them. I truly do use them each and every day. And then another thing that you can use, I don't use this, a lot of people do this. You've seen perhaps some Jolt. This is the Hyperbolt, and it's like a little gun that kind of pounds on the muscles and helps to relieve the muscles. I don't use this personally. A lot of players swear by this. It's not that I haven't thought about getting one. I guess it just hasn't been high. I do all the rolling, I do all the other stuff. So I just haven't broken down and gotten one yet. There's a lot of different price ranges in this. You see these from like $80 all the way to $300. I don't really know what makes them different. I do know Laura Fenton-Cavanda, my friend who's a pro player. She uses a company called Jolt, and she really likes it. She brought it here. She had it here when she was here. Felt good. I mean, I would say this, I thought it was kind of noisy, but it's each his own, right? I mean, try different things and see what your body likes. But rolling, anything like that can definitely help. After that, the biggest one is sleep, is getting some rest. Our bodies need 7 to 9 hours of sleep. And if you've been told that as you age, you don't need as much sleep, that's not true. You do need as much sleep. Now, we have a lot of things that tend to impact our sleep as we age, right? Many different things begin to impact our sleep as we age. But control the things that you can control. If you're having major sleep issues, go see someone. There's sleep clinics all over the place. So once we get out of this virus, go and see somebody and see if you can resolve some of those sleep issues. If not, I will put a link to a show I did a while ago for people who are just maybe, there's not any underlying issues. We're just maybe not as disciplined about our sleep habits as we should be. I will put a link in the show notes to that with some ideas that you can implement to give yourself a little bit more rest. I will also tell you naps help. Okay. So, go ahead and take, now, again, naps help unless you're having an issue where you're not sleeping all night long because you're taking a 2-hour nap in the middle of the afternoon. Okay. That's not a good trade-off. I'd rather have you sleep all night long. But like a 10 or 15-minute nap, and set your alarm. Only stay asleep for 15 minutes. Set the alarm on your phone. Give your body a chance to rest and recharge, somewhere, again, 15 to maybe 30 minutes max. I don't recommend napping for a whole lot longer than that, but naps definitely can help. And again, I'll put a link to the sleep. Let's see. I think that is it. So again, what I talked about was food, drink, stretching, either static stretching or active stretching, some additional recovery tools that can help you, and then making sure that you get enough rest. The more often you do that, the better off you are going to be the next time you go to play pickleball. What I have found as an athlete is what gets harder and harder. I can still play full out. I need to make sure that I manage my body in between. When I was younger, I used to not have to pay as close attention to how much I slept, to how much I drank, to how much I ate. I just kind of took that stuff for granted. The older I got, the more I realized if I paid attention to those things, my body performed better. So that's what I would share with you on recovery. All right, so tell me, have you got any questions on recovery? We'll go there first. If you do, this is a good time to unmute yourself and go ahead and get your questions asked.
No.
Okay. All right. Okay. I know I had a couple specific questions. Hang on one second. I'm just looking at my notes. Patricia was in the afternoon. Helen White is in the afternoon. Perfect. Okay. So the other thing I do want to talk about is how to plan and how to, is she in this morning? Nope, she's in this afternoon as well. All of those questions came out of this afternoon, the afternoon. I do want to talk about how to plan, but I also want to make sure that I answer any questions that anyone in the group has. So this would be the time to ask them. I may not answer them right now. I might talk about the planning part first, but Joan, why don't you go ahead? Are there any other questions that you would want answered?
not so much related to nutrition, but you're probably a pretty good pickleball player. And I would say I'm a recreational pickleball player. We gather together and we switch around, and half the people don't know what they're doing, you know, and we just have fun. I would ask you, what's the single most important thing you think you did to make yourself better?
Um, I think my answer would be, and I don't want this to sound nebulous, I think my answer would be is to make sure that my actions are in line with my goals. Because my goals in terms of what I've wanted to do in pickleball or anywhere else have always changed, right? And I think this is really critical. This is something, like Inside Fit After 50, we really go hard into goals and creating meaningful goals and really understanding why they're important to us, because just creating a goal doesn't mean we're going to go through it. So I answer that by saying, making sure that my actions are consistent with my goals. So, and it doesn't matter if it's pickleball or weight loss or whatever it may be. If your goal is to become a better pickleball player without, I don't really want to play tournaments. I'm going to stay playing with this group of people right here. That's a great goal. Then my answer to you would probably be, how do you become more consistent? What do you need to do to be more consistent? And that's individual for every player, right? Because we're all going to have different strengths and we're all going to have different weaknesses. But I think the biggest thing truly is making sure that whatever your goal is, your actions are in line with your goal. If my goal is to lose 10 pounds, my action can't be stopping to eat at McDonald's. Right? And so making it consistent and making a consistent plan there. So what I recommend, and I'll segue a little bit into the planning, is this. I did put some planning resources in there for you. So I've put I loaded a couple of resources last night. One of my things is 25 tips and tricks to staying fit after 50. And it's truly designed for pickleball players, and it does have a way at the very end, go all the way to the end. It talks about putting an action plan into place. My belief on action plan is pretty simple. You start with a goal and you put in 2, maybe 3 behaviors. Maybe 3. 3 is a lot of behaviors. You put in 2 to 3 behaviors, and those behaviors should be the lowest hanging fruit, which is kind of what I talked about at the beginning, right? Where are you going to get the most bang for your buck? So when I answer you and I say consistency, I can tell you that that's usually the lowest hanging fruit for players. Is if you consistently put in the first 3 shots, you put in your serve, you put in your return, and I mean, there are qualifications to that, right? Meaning it's better to hit a return deep, but if you put in your serve, you put in your return, and you get your 3rd shot over the net, you're going to win more points. You're going to win more. If you watch tournament video from 3-5 players, even up to 4-0 players, most rallies don't. 3-5 players go about 3, maybe 4 shots. 4-0 players usually have about 5 to 7 shots. They may have rallies that last a little bit longer than that, but the average rally is probably somewhere between 5 and 7 shots. So if you could hit those consistently, you've improved. But you apply that to anything you want to improve on in the planning process. Does that answer your question? Yes,
I try to remind myself to do one thing better each time, but that changes. So that's a good, 3 shots. I can do that.
Well, and here's what I would say. So this, again, is part of the planning process. So whatever I'm planning to do that day, so on a Monday night, right, I create a plan for Tuesday. What am I going to be doing? What am I going to be doing on Tuesday? And it's not just what am I doing with my time. As an example, eating to me is something that's important. I jot down the 3 meals that I'm going to eat on Tuesday. I jot those down on Monday night. So I'm not left holding the bag going, oh my God, I'm hungry. And now I'm going to eat something that's not good for me and is going to take me off my plan. So the same, that you can do the exact same thing with pickleball. If you know you're going to go play pickleball tomorrow, you kind of know the players that are probably going to be there, right? Where you're going. You know the kind of the group dynamics, right? Right. And you can say, okay, so tomorrow when I go, I'm going to grade myself on unforced errors, as an example. And if you're having an unforced error day, right? If you're tracking them, what I do is I would count my unforced errors during the game and see how many unforced errors I had at the end of the game. So if I hit a serve out, and basically anytime I hit a ball out, that's probably an unforced error. If I pop a ball up and my partner gets killed, I made an error. Right? Because I'm the one who hit the ball up. That's not my partner's error. That's my error. So as I'm going through a game, sometimes, and I do this a lot in rec play, I'm listening for the score, but I'm counting my unforced errors. How many times did I make a mistake?
An unforced error is an error? What's an unforced error?
So an unforced error is not my opponent. I lost a point because my opponent hit a great shot. Okay. So we're at the kitchen line. Let's just say we're at the kitchen line. You and I are dinking and you hit this great backhand shot and I can't get to it. That's not an unforced error. You hit a winner.
Mm.
But if you pop a ball up,
Mistake.
and I hit a winner, now you've made an unforced error by popping the ball up.
I understand. Thanks.
A nice way to learn how to do that is get with a group of 5 people. Here's how it works best. Get with a group of 5 people. So one person's setting out, 4 people are playing. Whoever makes the unforced error has to drop out. So you play a point. Whoever has the unforced error, they come out, the person on the side goes in. Okay. And you start to see, and you can start to have discussions, who made the error, right? Right? Who is the person who actually made the error? Because again, if I pop it up and my partner misses an overhead return back at them, that's not my partner's unforced error. That's my unforced error. So it helps us to understand that.
Thanks.
Okay. All right. How about you, Diane M? What questions do you have?
I don't have anything really specific. It's, I've watched some of the other videos and the Epic Summit and all that sort of thing. The position I find myself in is that, I play mostly rec, but from time to time I like to do tournaments, and I just haven't found that other person that's of the same mindset as I, or desire to watch these videos and hack my game tools to better myself. I just haven't found anybody with the same mindset. So, and I do play different places. I do see different things, and I guess I'm not as aggressive personally, to go seek that person out. So that's kind of where I'm at.
Yeah, and there's nothing wrong with that. It's deciding that it's important to you. And I will tell you this, Laura Fenton Kavan and I had her on the live show like a week ago, and we were talking about this subject. It's very difficult to find, even as a pro player, it's difficult to find. I laugh. I remember going to it was one of the first tournaments I played in. It was a big indoor tournament up in Washington, which, you know, it's kind of the birthplace of pickleball. There's some pretty amazing pickleball players up there because they've been playing for a long time. And some of them have never played another sport, you know, like tennis or the other things, right? All they've ever played is pickleball. And I remember one of the guys saying, he's like, "Hello, future partner, what's your name?" I was like, huh? You know what I'm saying? I mean, I was like, and now I get the joke, right? is because there's a lot that goes into finding a partner, right? Is to, you know, finding somebody who wants to practice the way you do, lives close to you, has that same mentality. I'll tell you, I thought I found a great partner about 2 years ago. Oh my goodness. It was like, you have got to be kidding me. This person just absolutely dropped in my lap. And then we went to play our first tournament. Oh, she was no fun to play with. Zero. I mean, like zero fun. And I was like, okay, so it's the first tournament. I can understand. And it's her first tournament. Sometimes players maybe have, you know, whatever, off days. We had already signed up for a second tournament. That was about a month later or whatever it was. So we continued to go out. She loved to practice. She was an athlete from other sports. She knew about practice and the importance of it. We still, in fact, I will tell you this, we still practice together, and we practice together for a fair amount. I don't play tournaments with her anymore. But we went to that second tournament, and she was like the same person. And, you know, I've been an athlete my whole life, and I'm pretty tough. If you hurt my feelings, you probably maybe have crossed the line. Because my feelings don't get hurt real easily, right? And yeah, so I get what you're saying. It's a tough thing, but hang in there. You never know who you'll find or when you'll find that, especially if you want to play tournaments. Cool. All right. Any questions on health and wellness stuff? Okay. How about you, Tommy?
Nope. The only thing I was going to say is before I go play, I try to do a protein shake.
Mm-hmm.
24 to 30 gram protein shake.
Mm-hmm.
I hope I'm doing what I'm supposed to do by doing that.
We were talking about that actually before you came on, and yes, I think that's a great way. I mean, that's a great thing to do. Sometimes I do shakes before I go to play. It's not like an every time thing for me. And I will tell you, the only reason I probably don't do more shakes before I play is I do live in a fairly chilly temperature, and I love the taste of a shake, but it lowers my body temperature.
Oh, okay.
I get my protein. What I do usually, especially like all winter long, I make steel cut oats, and I take steel cut oats and then I make them very watery. And I put my protein powder in there and to thicken it back up. And then I put my fruit in the steel cut oats. So that's how I get my protein powder, is with the steel cut oats, because they're a good carbohydrate, because they're a complex carbohydrate. So they take our bodies longer to break down. So they are a good carbohydrate. And then I also get my protein along with them. So that's that. I will tell you, that's typically, especially all winter long, that's usually my breakfast, and it stays with me for a long time. So lots of different ways to do it. I put protein powder in pancakes. I take out some of the flour and put in several scoops of protein powder. In fact, Vega, right on their site, I have one, I think I posted it, but also I got the recipe from Vega. It's vegan banana protein pancakes. It's 6 ingredients. I mean, that's it. And they are every time I make them, it's like, I made them about a week ago, and my sister, I said, oh yeah, John and I are having pancakes this morning. She's like, oh, I wish I was there. So cool. All right. How about you, Diane Stewart? I see you got your audio back. So if you want to unmute yourself, you could unmute yourself if you've got some questions.
Nope, I have no questions. Thank you very much. But
Okay.
I do a lot of what you're already talking about. It's just remember to, I forgot all about that.
Hmm?
So excellent format so far.
Cool. So let's talk just a little bit about the planning part. And again, I believe that planning, I do this a lot. And just to let you know, I am going to be relaunching Fit After 50. I do that periodically because there's group coaching in there, and it's a big, much more extensive library of downloads and videos and things like that on really all these areas that we talked about. So we have goal setting, we have nutrition, we have activity, and then we have lifestyle, right? How to make it fit into our lifestyle. My planned relaunch date was May 5th. I'm probably going to push that back just a little bit based on everything that's kind of going on in our world right now, but I will relaunch it relatively soon. But one of the things I dive a lot into is making it fit into your life. And as Diane Stewart said, remembering kind of to do all those things. So when it comes to planning, there are a couple of things that I recommend in planning. And I've touched on a few of those already. Is first of all, is to set some goals. Only make it two to three things, and make sure you get the low hanging fruit first. Okay, whatever your low. So I don't care if it's pickleball. I don't care if it's getting more fit. I don't care if it's managing your weight. To me, that's the magic formula to get you started. Because here's the deal. If you pick the low hanging fruit, chances are you're going to see some results. And we are all people who want to see results, right? We see results, and it's kind of like Pavlov's dog. If we see results, we're like, ooh, give me more, give me more, give me more. Right? That's how we are as people. So by picking the low hanging fruit, you start to reward yourself. Put that into a plan for yourself. And here's what: good plans are written down, right? Write it down. Now, my secret sauce is this, on Sunday nights, and you probably see me writing this, right? Because as I'm writing my notes, this is what I use for a planner. And I use written planning because there is a connection that goes between your brain, your handwriting, and your brain, right? Reinforcing this. And they've shown that time and time again. I have tried to do electronic planning, doesn't work for me. So I do a written plan, and every Sunday night I'm trying to find one to make it easy for you to see. So every Sunday night, I come into my planner and I do multiple things. But one of the things I do, let's see if I can get this here, is I write down 3 things that I want to accomplish during the course of the week. These are my big 3, right? So this particular week, I wrote down begin, convert, kit, move. I'm changing my email provider. So that's a business thing. YouTube video. And there was some specific things I needed to do with my videos. Like I do 3 to 4 videos at a time. And so there were specific things that I do there. And then I had to post some invites to Pickleball List. I am inviting people over to continue conversations, right? So those were my top 3 things that I wanted to accomplish during the course of the week. And chances are those things all have things inside of them, right? I mean, just think about this. I'm moving from one email provider to the other. It's not like I do one thing and I'm done, right? I've got to do multiple steps to be able to do that. And most of the things we do in our life, we have to do multiple steps to be able to do that. So I write down on Sunday night, I go through, I write down the 3 things that I want to accomplish during the course of the week, right? And then I look at my week and I start to block off all the times that I know where I'm committed, right? So if you're still working, you're going to block off working. If you're playing pickleball, you're going to block off your pickleball times. Where do you have commitments? Okay. I'm going to go have coffee with Joan this week. We've planned Tuesday for an hour. I'm having dinner with Tommy, and we're going to do that Thursday night for an hour, right? So I just kind of block in all of those things for my whole entire week. So I know what my week looks like. Once I see that, I begin to know how much time I have in a day to devote to those 3 things. Right? So if I have a day where I know I've got 6 hours of group coaching sessions. As an example, Tuesday right now, I have several hours of group coaching sessions, and then I do a live. I don't have a lot of time to do tasks on Tuesday other than this. And that's okay. I don't want to plan anything for Tuesday like that. I also want to make sure that I can access my meals pretty quickly and pretty easily, because I know I'm going from one thing to another. So that gives me the time to look at my whole entire week, and I start to say, ooh, I have time to do stuff here. I don't have time to do stuff here. It's going to be hard to cook on this night. Oh, I'm eating out with Tommy on Thursday. That's already a meal. I'm having coffee with Joan. That's maybe I can make into a meal. So I start to plan out all those things. And I get a rough plan, and I don't know if you're anything like me, but my whole week stays exactly like that all week long, right? No, it changes, right? It's continually changing. So then what I do is I do this all on Sunday night, and it takes me about 10 to 15 minutes to do. Then on the night before, I look at that next day and I say to myself, am I still able to do those things? Has my life changed? Maybe we moved, Joan and I moved coffee to 2 days later. So now I have some free time on that particular day. And I start to readjust all those things. That way, I keep the most important stuff in my forefront, because I'm continually looking at those three things. Okay, I promised myself I'm going to get the ConvertKit move done. What am I doing to facilitate that movement? Okay. As an example, one of the things I have to do is I have to take all of my email sequences and move them over one at a time, right? While I'm doing that, I've made the decision that I'm going to look at them, update them, clean them up, change some words, whatever is done, it needs to be done with that. I use that example. You're probably not moving email providers, but it doesn't matter if it's an email provider, if it's creating a pickleball plan, if it's creating a fitness or nutrition plan. You need to look at the big picture and then get that low hanging fruit inside of the details. And I would tell you this, talk about low hanging fruit. I leave my most difficult part of the move is truly the last thing I plan in that particular section. I plan the most difficult stuff towards the end, get the other stuff going first, because then it becomes habit and it becomes easy. Does that help you to give some idea on how to take these things and incorporate them even further into your life? Yeah. Okay. Cool. Well, fantastic. Are there any other questions that we've come up with? All right. It has been a true pleasure coaching each and every one of you. I really appreciate it. I do run periodic group coaching sessions from time to time if you want to take part in another coaching session. I do some that are specifically pickleball. I do some that are specifically health and wellness. I also do some that are one-on-one sessions, right, where we really kind of get into your goals. And then again, I also have Fit After 50 relaunching. So I'm in the process right now of reformatting some of these offerings. And, based on, I'm always reformatting things, right? Because I continue to find out more and more about what you want and what you need. And I want to provide value to people. So I'm always tweaking and changing things to make these sessions more valuable. I will be sending you a follow-up survey in the next couple of days. And please be honest with me. If there are things you like, tell me what you like. If there are things you didn't like, tell me what you didn't like, right? And I'll change those. Again, keep looking. I'm always posting something inside of the community. You do have access to the community, so you can continue to go back and to look at those resources as time goes on. Cool. All right, any other questions?
No, but as an aside, I got a backpack yesterday from a place called Gearbox.
Okay.
That thing is huge.
Uh-huh.
And it's got 4 pickleballs in it right now, 2 pair of shoes. I've got 2 towels in there. I've got glasses. And shoot, I haven't even started on that thing yet, getting it full. And then what I do, I put it on upside down the boot. And the buckle wouldn't go around my belly.
Ah, okay. Oh, that's funny. Yep. I do have a little piece of advice for you. Don't fill that thing up because it's going to be too damn heavy to carry and it's going to hurt your back.
Oh,
I know from experience, right? It's like, I really need this much for a day.
I found that out yesterday when I got on my bicycle and started out riding.
Cool.
Oh, that's funny.
That is, they are fantastic backpacks. Oh, and don't make sure that you look on the inside. You do have a clip that will hang it right to a fence. So
okay.
at the top on the inside, just open it up. It's the first compartment. So there is a clip that you can pull out to hang it on the top of a fence.
Oh, okay. I'll go look for that now.
Yeah. Yeah, there's lots of cool. You found the compartment for the shoes underneath.
Right.
Yeah. So there's compartments for shoes so you can keep your shoes away from everything else. It's
Yep.
full of little stuff. You can hang your keys. There's a little thing you can hang your keys on in the one compartment. So yeah, it's cool.
I'll probably find this stuff for the next couple of weeks on in that bag. That's
My guess is
filthy.
you will. Yeah, my guess is you will. Well, cool. All right, it has truly been a pleasure. Please, we'll stay in touch. I'll see you in the community. If you have any questions, please continue to ask them in the community. And this will be posted tomorrow. I will post some of the additional, there are already some resources I actually posted yesterday. Some of the stretching resources, the 25 tips, everything we mentioned is still under that Zoom link. So go to the topics and find Zoom coaching calls. Everything is listed under there. Okay? All right.
One before
Yep.
you leave, could you send me the 25 again? My email box just erased everything I had in there.
You can, you still have access to the community, correct?
Hopefully.
Okay, so if you don't have access to the community, text me because it's in
Okay.
there and you can download it at any time.
Okay.
The link is right in there. It takes you to it and you can just simply download it at any time.
Very good.
Okay.
Thank you so much. If I get up to Incline, I'll try and look you up and meet you in person.
Please do. Please do. It would be unacceptable if you got here and you didn't.
Thanks, CJ.
Thank you,
Enjoy
everyone.
it. Ladies, we'll see you.
Bye-bye. Thanks
Bye.
for